Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the developer user group. Today, we're going to have just one presentation, quite short, by Bradley, and he's going to be telling us a little bit about Kaboom.js, which is a JavaScript framework library for kids to create games. Bradley will tell us all about it, I'm sure. It sounds exciting. Yeah, I guess you can go ahead. Just one thing before we start. The Zoom room itself, thank you, Eva. The Zoom room sponsored by Intellect. Thank you very much for that. I'm also from Intellect, but yeah, so go ahead, Bradley. Let me not take more of your time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ezra. Yeah, and thanks to Intellect for sponsoring DevUG and sponsoring the stuff we need to do these talks. So yeah, I'm going to go through Kaboom, which is this new little game library. I think it was released sometime like in April this year. So it's still a bit like dodgy, a little bit beta. Oh, we've got 5 minutes remaining, but it's really cool. So it's made by a company. It's made by developers at a company called Replit, which is this like online IDE that's aimed at like school kids. So it's aimed at like computer science classes for, you know, like I guess from like probably what would it be, grade 7 up here, and they made this little game library so that the kids can make games. The nice thing about it is like it's very, very JavaScripty. So it makes a lot of use of callback functions, and it's single threaded and everything like that. So it's not a lot to wrap your head around if you've been using JavaScript for a bit. And even though it's like pretty basic, it's just got this weird vibe about it that makes it really cool to knock about some things at night when you're bored and you don't feel like looking at Amazon or whatever you're working on at the time. The other thing about it is like it's very, because it's aimed at like kids, there's a lot of weird humor, mainly to do with bodily functions like burping. So it's kind of weird. Like their little intro video here is super bad. So their whole idea is like be a little bit super dodgy. Be proud of being a beginner, I guess. So I'll let you watch the video. So there's the obligatory humor for the 14-year-olds. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so from that intro, you can see you're not going to be like making PUBG out of this thing, but you will be making like games from like the arcade era or from the 8-bit era. So that's pretty cool. So it's just one file that you include, and then you can start using it in an HTML page. But you can also use it inside Replit's editor as well. They've got a special little Kaboom kind of project. So we'll make one in there because it handles a lot of things like loading sprites and all that kind of overhead that you probably don't really care about when you just want to start jamming. And the other cool thing about this is that you can invite like your friends and stuff. So, and you can share, you can immediately host it. So, you know, it's like, it's kind of an all-in-one thing just to get going. The problem is it's not so cool to debug with. So I do find myself sometimes just copying the code out and putting it in Visual Studio Code if I need to debug something. But most of the time it kind of works. Okay, cool. So we'll be going through just a simple tutorial. I wrote this one a couple of weeks ago, just when I was figuring out how this thing worked. And we'll just use this to kind of show off the main functions of it. So cool, we'll start with that. So I'll just give the link to that as well if you want to follow along on your side. Okay, cool. So if we go here, you'll see it's like a specialized editor, and it's got game scenes section. It's got your sprite section, sounds, and then like some specialist debugging thing. And then if you click here as well, you can kind of change the parameters of the game as well. So we'll just probably make this a little bit different. Let me just see what size I made my sprites. That probably helps. So yeah, you can set up, like all those kind of your screen size and all those kind of things. So we'll just make this one. It's a weird size, but that's what we're dealing with. And then you can also scale it up. So you can make it at a pretty low res size and then blow it up to make the graphics even 10 times worse if you want. Well, this 2 times worse. So yeah, kind of make it look a bit junk, which is cool. It makes it look a bit like it's something from a Commodore 64. And then you just click on the main scene and you can start programming and putting in things. So the first kind of thing that that Kaboom has got is a concept called layers. So you can make multiple layers. So you can have like a background layer. You can have this object layer where your game objects actually interact with, and then you can have like an overlay for UI as well. And then you can add things to different layers, so that and then things on the same layers, you get event handlers for collisions and those kind of things. So we'll just start by adding a little bit of code to add some layers, and we'll just chuck that in there. Not twice. Mac keyboards, I don't know about that. Okay, cool. And then we'll add a little background, just something to our background layer, so we can add some stars over there. And we'll just need to upload our stars sprite so that it can use it. Let me just find where I had it. There we go. Take that stars there. Now we've got some stars, and it's like as simple as that. You should have a background if we hit run. There we go. And you can go to this URL over here as well if you want to kind of run it on your side and see what's happening as we are developing. So that's also pretty cool with Replit, is that it's all pretty much live all the time. Okay, cool. So now we've got a background in there. Another cool thing that Replit's got is that it's got this function to add a level. So let's just look for that quick. And level is basically a map definition. So you can draw your map with different objects in just plain text, and then map different things. So we can say all the equals are solid ground blocks, and then like the question marks are special prizes, and stars are different things, and little carries or spikes and that. So it's really cool and easy to draw out a game map without having to parse it and everything like that. So we can do that next and add a small kind of level to this thing. Let's just do that quickly. So there we go. We've added a level. So we've got these things over here at the bottom, which is the ground. So we give it a tag called ground, and we just draw a rectangle for them, and we give it a color, like a red color over there. And then it's got this, the way that you assemble objects in Kaboom is with these things called components. So each of these parts of this object are different components, and it gives the object different properties. So for example, color, if you give it color, then you can change its color later on. If you give it a property called, or a component called solid, then it means that other objects can't pass through it. So that kind of logic's already taken care for you. So it's pretty easy to add on a whole lot of components. Let's just quickly find where the list is of all the components they got. So I've got all these components, like a position component, a scale to blow up or shrink down, sprites, rotation, color, sprite to load a sprite, or text to make a text, rectangle, which we're using. Area you don't really need to use because it's normally automatically added when you give it a rectangle or a sprite. And then body makes it react to gravity. So it will always fall down if you put the body tag on. And then we've got solid, like we said. And then origin, you can change it from the top left to the bottom left or to the center. So wherever you want to, like, you kind of make the center of that game object. And then layer just tells it which layer you're going to run it on. As you noticed here, we're not specifying any layer here, but that's because we made our object layer the default layer. So we don't have to specify that, but with our background, we specified the layer that it should run on. Okay, cool. So now we've got this stuff. Let's just run that again. Now we should have a little bit of a platform and a game world to run in here. No, we got an error instead. That sounds about right. Let's try to figure out why we got an error. Because I don't have these constants defined. Let me just quickly define those constants. The size of the screen. And there we go. We got a world with a red ground and then these two blue platforms. We should have another one higher up. If you go look in the, if you go look here, you should see it in full glory. There we go. So we got our 3 platforms in a background. So that was pretty quick just to get like a little game world up and running. So now we can start adding in like characters and those kind of things. So we're going to add in our spaceship first. And this is like our kind of player object. So once again, we're just going to add, over here, we basically map the definitions on our map, but you can also add objects by using the add function over here. And it's the same format. So it takes in an array with all the different components. And one of the nice things you can do as well is you can add your own little custom data object to it. So we can like keep track of the score for the player and how much shield or health the spaceship still has. So in this case, we're not drawing it with a rectangle. We're using a sprite, and we'll upload that sprite now as well, just so that it's there. Spaceship, upload that, and it automatically just maps that to that sprite. If you're using this in just a plain JavaScript file that you're making yourself, then you'll have to load the sprites and load the sounds and everything yourself. But it's just one line just to give it a name and where the file is. But if you're working inside Replit, then you just add it and it automatically adds that code in for you, which is quite handy. So we give it that spaceship. We say draw the player with a spaceship. We tell it where to just give it a starting position. We give it the component body so that it reacts to gravity. We're not scaling it up or down. We are adding a rotate component. It's just so that when we start moving it, we can tilt it and it kind of looks like it wants to go in a particular direction. And then we make the origin of it the center of the sprite instead of the top left corner, so that when we do the rotate, it rotates around the center of the object as well. And then you can give everything tags as well. Like we did over here as well. We gave it a tag for platform, for boundaries, for the ground as well. And these tags are super useful because you can kind of query the game world by these tags later on. So they're kind of like, it's like a kind of thinking like if you query a CSS object by a class or something like that. It's similar to that. And then you can do objects, kind of operations over all the objects that match that. Cool. And then we just give our custom fields. And then we got this player.action, and we got player.resolve inside here. And this is just needed if you give something body object and it wants to interact with a solid object. So basically what it does is just check that this object isn't interacting with the solid object. This logic's a little bit dodgy in this version of Kaboom at the moment. Sometimes things fall through the ground and that if your computer's got all its fans spinning. So basically if it can't run at a high enough frame rate and the thing's moving really fast, it seems to have problems and things fall through the ground. But there are kind of, I logged some bugs for that. So it looks like they're trying to fix that. In the meantime, I just put some hacks to get around that. But if we run this now, we should have a spaceship into the scene at some point. Let's just check. Waiting for it to go. I don't know what's taking so long. Well, let's go to our, oh, there we go. Should have a spaceship. Let's just try a refresh. There we go. We've got a spaceship there. So it was just cut off another one. So now we've got a spaceship entering the scene, and you'll see that it, because we added it somewhere up here, it dropped down quite nicely with gravity. If we just run that again, there we go. Looks pretty cool when it enters the scene. Okay, cool. So now we've added that. The next thing, logical thing, is to try make it fly. So Kaboom's got all these functions. How do I make this thing disappear forever? So it's got a whole lot of input functions like key down and key press and that kind of thing. So we'll use key down. So as long as someone holds down a key, it will trigger our kind of event handler function over there. So you can see they already kind of give you the give you the cheat. You can just move, use, as long as you've got a position object, the position component on your object, you can use the move function on it. These things aren't very well documented, but this code is open source, so you can kind of go through and see what each component, what the kind of magical functions it gives to your object. Cool. So we can just kind of copy that. Let's just put that in there. So this is one I baked earlier. There we go. We've got left button, we've got right button, and then we've got on the releases as well. So if you release left and right. So basically what we do here is because we put that rotate component on, we can, it's because we put scale on, we can use flip. So we've got flip around the x-axis. So if we go left, we just want to flip our spaceship to the left, and if we go right, we want to flip it to the right. It's, if you look at the spaceship, it's slightly asymmetrical. So it's just so that we know which way it's facing, essentially. And then we just change the angle, and we get the function for angle because we added the rotate component. So we just tilt it slightly just so it looks like it's kind of moving in that direction. And then we just update our current direction. We'll use this later so we know when which side to fire bullets out of the spaceship. And then we move it, just by 100 in a particular direction. So so if we go left, we go negative X, and if we go right, we go positive X, so we go left and right. And then all we do is when the player releases the left and right key, we just reset that tilt angle just so that the spaceship is straight up again. So let's just, I think we just need a definition for directions there. So I'm just going to add a little enumeration here. Cool, let's run it again. So yeah, I see a comment saying the rapid feedback cycle is cool. It's, yeah, the rapid feedback cycle is super cool. It's like kind of keeps your dopamine levels up a little bit so that you can keep going.
Brad, yeah, I kind of suspect you've already defined left and right. If you scroll up a bit.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Let's take that out. Thanks. Woo. Okay. We dropped through the screen there. That's mainly because we are, my computer's using all of its memory. Okay, cool. There we go. So now we've got left and right going, and you can see it tilts a little bit and it flips over as well. So we see you've got the little red thing on the left. Now we've got the red thing on the right, and it kind of makes it look like it's moving around. Pretty cool stuff. So that was pretty quick to get that going. Now, obviously, we needed to fly up. So we're just going to add in another key down for moving up. And then Kaboom's also got this function. You can use move up as well, the same as this, just to move in the Y direction. But it's also got this little function called jump, which you get if you, no, sorry, that's on animations. Let's just look. If you've got a body component, you get the jump. Function added to your object, which basically just makes it look a bit better when it takes off. So it gives it a bit of a spring when it takes off, as opposed to just linearly moving from the bottom. Linearly moving. I don't know how to say that word. So we just want to give it a little bit of a boost up. Yeah, that one's not working so hard. It keeps falling to the floor. Okay, cool. So now if we push up, you can see the spaceship takes off. And because we marked these things as solid, the spaceship can land on them as well. So that's pretty cool. So we've got the spaceship flying around, and then, yeah, there's that bug I was talking about. If your computer's really slowed down, like mine is, I don't know, all the fans are on at the moment, I think, because it's like streaming and trying to run the IDE and everything. But yeah, so there we go. We've got it flying around. That's pretty cool. Okay, cool stuff. The next thing, obviously, we need some guns, because what is a game without some lasers? So what we'll need to do here is just to make a function that when we push a button, it shoots out a game object from the spaceship, depending on the direction the spaceship is facing, and then just carry on moving that object over time. So we'll make a function that spawns the bullet when we push the key, and we'll also make it just play a little sound, because obviously we need some laser pew pews when we put lasers in. So okay, cool. So we got this code over here. We just set a speed for the bullet, which is pretty fast, like 400 whatever's per second. I don't actually know how it takes something with like the frame rate plus the screen size, and it figures out the speed. It's not actually 400 pixels, or else it would be off the screen without you even seeing it. So it works it out some other way that I haven't really figured out yet. And then we just add a key press. We don't use key down because I don't want it to keep on shooting if you just hold down the space bar. You want to kind of make the player want to mash that space bar to get more bullets, which always makes a lot of fun and make for a new keyboard. So we got spawn bullet over here, and we just pass in the current position of our player so that we know where to spawn it from. And then we just look at the direction that we set. And remember, when we're doing left and right, we set our current directions over there. So we just check if it's on the left-hand side, we shoot a little bit left of the player position. And if it's on the right-hand side, we shoot a little bit from the right, so it doesn't look like it's, you know, overlaying the spaceship. Then we add a new bullet. So once again, we just use a rectangle. We use add. We assemble it with components. We use a little rectangle, so just a 6x2 rectangle. Put it at our position. Make the center of the bullet, you know, the center of the bullet, the actual center part of it. And then we assign it a color 111. So Kaboom colors are 0 to 1. So 1 is full on. So this is completely white. And then we give a tag of bullet just so we can catch it later. And then we set some custom properties, which is really just our bullet speed. So if we're going left, we make it negative our bullet speed, so it keeps taking off the x-axis. Or if we're going right, then we just bullet speed, which is positive, and it goes right. And then you can play some sound effects as well. So we just play a little sound effects called shoot. We just turn the volume down a little bit because it's can get a bit loud. So you can adjust it there. And then this detune thing, we just use a kind of random thing each time just so that the shot doesn't sound monotonous. And also it kind of sounds a bit cartoonish now if you put it like this, because each time it will vary the pitch just very slightly. So it sounds pretty cool. So I'm just going to upload the sound so that we can use that. Where is this thing? Shoot. Cool stuff. Did I copy and paste this twice? I think I did. Let's just take that out. Okay, cool. Now we should be able to shoot. Let's check it out. The only thing is the bullet's not going to move yet. So it's going to make one and this is going to stick basically where it is. So we'll add our movement event next. So there we go. We made a bullet, but we need to make it move now. Okay, cool. So to make it move, we can use this function in Kaboom called action. So action, you can give it a tag so we can look at our bullets. I'm guessing you understand where I got all this code from now. We can get our bullet and then we can move it in whatever direction we want. And vec2 is just basically its little vector class for Kaboom as well. So you can, action, filter it, and then add an event handler for it. So we'll do that. This action runs every frame. So all we do here is we move it with its speed that we added onto it. And we're only going X or Y direction, so we don't have to worry about, in the X dimension, so we don't have to worry about Y. And then all we need to do is just check if it goes out of the bounds of the map. And in that case, we destroy that bullet object. So, and destroy is also a Kaboom keyword, which basically just removes the game object from the scene. So cool, let's do that. Now we should get bullets that move. There we go, and we got a sound effect. Yeah, pretty cool. And then we lost our spaceship. Cool stuff. So now obviously we've got bullets, we need something to shoot at. So we want to add some Space Invader bugs to shoot at. Cool, so what we'll do here where is this? Is we'll, similarly to the bullet, we'll add a spawn alien function, and then we'll just call it at a regular interval just to make new aliens to come at us. Cool, so just to find some constants is basically the base speed of the alien, and then I made an increment. So basically, the higher score you get, or the longer you play, the faster the aliens will come at you, just so that it makes it a bit interesting. And then what we're also trying to do here is make the aliens come from basically the left and the right of the screen, but kind of follow random trajectories. So it's not like just linear across here or across there, across there. We kind of want to make, might come from the top and go down at a sharp angle, or kind of float slowly across, or that kind of thing. So kind of just add some elements of randomness. So there's a few cool functions in Kaboom to help us do that. They've got this really cool array function, which should be built into arrays, I feel. Basically, you can say choose and give it an array, and it will randomly take one of the elements from that array. So we're basically just choosing a random direction here. And then we're just saying if it's left, we're going from its initial position is 0, Otherwise, if it's right, it will be the width of the map, or the right-hand side of the map. And then over here, we're just checking just how much to speed it up by. If the player's got some more points, every 1,000 points, we speed it up by the speed increment. And then, so not only do we speed up the speed, we also speed up the interval at which we create aliens. So the slowest is 0.8, and then every time we get more points, we speed it up some more as well. And then we add our new alien sprite at that position, and just a random kind of Y position. I've just said -20, just so it doesn't basically hit the floor. So we want it to come up above the ground. And then we give it a tag alien. And once again, some of our custom properties that speed for that particular alien. And we just randomize it a little bit more. So we make it, from 0.5 to 1.5 of the speed we calculated above. And then just multiply it by the direction it's going in. And then the same for speed Y as well. We just get a random number, and then also just choose the direction, up or down, -1 or 1. And then Kaboom's also got this really cool function called wait, which runs a specific call back after some time. So we're just saying, wait for our new alien interval, which changes depending what score you got, and then basically calls our spawn alien event again. And then we just call it once outside here just to get it primed and starting to go. So if we run this now, wait, I need to put in the sprite for the alien, because we've said use sprite alien, and I haven't put a sprite in. Let's do that. That can't be the right alien. Is that right alien? Yeah. Okay, so we've got the aliens coming in. Now, just like the bullet, they're static. So now we just need to add an action event for them to move around. So let's do that. So we'll use that same thing as we did for the bullet, which is call the action method, and then filter by the alien, by any game object that's called alien. And then we'll call our callback over here. Well, it calls our callback, and we move it by whatever we calculated for those custom speeds for the alien in each direction. And then all we do is just checking if the alien is out of bounds of the map. And if it is, then we just call destroy as well, just to get rid of the alien, because it's gone out of the scene. So it's no point in letting it pile up. Cool, so now we've got them moving. So yeah, we've got some creepy crawlies going over the screen. That was pretty quick and easy. Okay, cool. So the next thing is we want to obviously shoot them. So Kaboom's got this cool function again called collides. And basically you can take in 2 tags on this one. So anything with the tag enemy, if it collides with bullets, then you can do you can put in a little event handler over there. So we're going to do it obviously with the alien and the bullet to see if they collide. So I'll get into this in a little bit. This is a custom method that we'll add. But basically, if they collide, we destroy both the alien and the bullet, and then we we play a little explosion sound effect, which we can upload now, just to make some noise. Cool. So that's pretty straightforward. This code for making an explosion, it's basically, let me just copy it and paste it in here quick. There's a few cool things in here. I got this off of their example page, basically. But what it's doing basically is it's making an explosion at a position and the number of explosions to make within a radius, and then the maximum size of each of the explosions in the radius. And essentially what it's doing is just adding these bright white rectangles at random locations around where you specify, and then obviously just running through as many as you specify. And then it's got these interesting things, which is this lifespan and grow components. And these are custom components. So all you need to do to make your own component is to define a function and return an object with an update method on it. So this thing basically just checks, it starts with timer 0, and it just checks if you go over a certain amount of time. So if you say lifespan 0.1, it gives a time in there and then starts updating the timer. And DT is also a function of Kaboom. So this basically just gets the delta time from the last frame. So yeah, you can keep the, it's tied to the frame rate. And then if it gets too long, you can just destroy that particular object that custom component is on. And then grow is pretty similar as well. So all it's doing is returning a custom component with this update method. And once again, it grows at a specific rate over time. So the time from the last frame, and then adds that to the scale of the object. So it basically scales it up over time. So if we run this now, we'll get a cool, like basically firework kind of explosions going when we shoot something down. So when a bullet hits our alien, so let me try actually aim one. There we go. You can see you get these cool bright flashes on the screen, which is quite cartoonish as well. And if I've got any kind of aim, there we go, I can do it. Cool, so that's pretty cool. The making your own component thing is a pretty useful feature, I think. Okay, now that we can shoot these things out of the sky, we kind of should give the aliens some way to fight back. And basically these are going to be aliens that explode on contact. So we'll make them explode on the ground first, because it looks kind of weird that they're flying over these, over the ground and over the platform. So we kind of want them to hit into things and explode. So we can just add 2 more collision handlers for the alien and the platforms, and the alien and the ground as well. And it's pretty much the same thing as in other things. So we just make an explosion around the area, get rid of the alien, and play our explosion sound effect, but this time a little bit quieter because it's a bit further away. So over here we did it at 0.2. Over here we're playing at 0.1. So now if we run this again, if the aliens hit the ground or the platform, they should explode. There we go, that exploded there, exploding there. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Now the last thing is just to make it explode. Well, got some explosions going on here all of a sudden. Okay, we're going to make it explode. How do I stop this now? I've created a monster. I'm just going to take this play sound effect. Leave the sound effects in, but I need to do this. Okay, cool. So let's just do this. So instead of collides, we've actually got 2 collision detection functions we can use. We've got collides and we've got overlaps as well. So collides is even when they just touch, so if they're right next to each other, it will fire. But overlap means that there must at least be some kind of overlap of at least like 1 pixel or more, so that they kind of go over each other before it fires. So we want it like if the alien is really close to us, so like kind of overlaps us, then we want to create another explosion as well, and basically blow up. And then we got this function called update player shield over here, which will just kind of update our damage on our shield, so that, you know, like if the alien hits us, we take a health hit. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just remove this for a second because there's quite a few things involved in that. Because if your health gets too low, we've got to trigger like the end of the game and everything like that. So let's go over here. So you can see if the alien just touches us now, it explodes without us even shooting it. And it makes a kind of larger one. Oh, something else is pretty cool as well in here is it's got this function called cam shake, which basically just shakes up the whole screen if you call it. So if we go here again, this thing really keeps falling to the ground. You'll see like the whole screen kind of shakes up. And we don't need the sound from that either. Okay, cool. So that's pretty cool. We got that going. Okay, cool. So now we're going to add in, why is it making noises again? Let's just take that out. Okay, cool. So now we're going to do just with the updating of the shield. So this is a little bit of boilerplate code. So the first thing we're going to do is just so that we can view the shield health on screen. So it will look something like this. We're going to just make this bar over here, and then also display our score. So we're just going to add the UR elements for that. So basically, we can just add some text and add some rectangles to make that bar. So the first thing is adding text to just to say the shield, just to give that label there. And we just position it on the screen, and we put it on the UR layer so that things don't interact with it. Our game objects don't interact with it. So then we've got another thing as well, because there's no way to draw. You can only draw solid rectangles in Kaboom. You can't draw like just the outline of it. So I've got to draw these two rectangles. So basically I make one that's, I don't know why it's 100. That was before I realized the colors only went up to 1. So draw a solid white rectangle, and then inside that rectangle, I draw a black rectangle, so that you just get the border around the shield holder. And then inside we put the actual shield itself, the shield bar, the health bar, I guess. So the little green part of it over there. Okay, so that kind of makes our UR. Yeah, so if we run that, we can get that. Sorry, come on. Now we've got our shield, little shield holder there. Okay, and then something happened that blew up. Because we had to update the shield. Okay, cool. So we've got the UR for it. So now we can add that function to actually update it. So this missing function over here. So what we're going to do is check if we update that player shield by the amount of damage. We just need to check as well if the player gets to 0, because then we need to pretty much go to an end game. So basically all we do here is we modify the number of shield points the player's got, and that shield was that custom property we put on that player earlier. And then we just clamp it between 0 and 100 as well. The reason why we're adding it and we clamping to 100 is at some point in this game, I made it that your shield slowly self-heals, but we probably won't get to that. And then we just calculate the width of that shield bar that we added, just to show how far it is. And because the maximum width of it is 50, I just want to find the percentage, the number of pixels based on the percentage the shield has gone down. So we find the percentage, like the ratio of shield remaining, times it by the full width of the shield bar, which is 50, and then we can basically scale down that rectangle by that amount. And then there's just some code over here that checks if it's less than 20 or if it's less than 50, and we change the color of that bar just to make it green, orange, and red, just so there's some kind of cue that you're almost about to die. And then we just check over here if it's if your shield is totally 0, so your spaceship is dead. We destroy the spaceship, and then we just make 500 massive explosions all over the screen, play explosion a whole lot of times, detuned, just to make a noise. And then we can use this function over here to go to another scene. So this go function basically says go to another scene called endgame. So we can just add a new scene here called endgame. Let me just get the capitalization right. And I'm just going to add something simple to the scene, which is basically just the constants for how big the map is, and then just add some text game over in the middle. And then if you push enter, then we go back to our main scene so you can play again. Yeah, so that's pretty much handling the death of the player or updating their shield if they run into things. So now basically the aliens can fight back by exploding onto you. So let's just go, yeah. So now we should see our shield go down every time we get hit. So yeah, our shield is going down a little bit there. Going down a bit more, goes orange, goes red. And then a billion explosions to end the game, and you get a game over happening over there. Obviously, you can style this a bit better. Cool, so we've pretty much got the whole gameplay going of shooting. The only thing that we need to add now is some kind of point to the game. So we'll add a thing where gems kind of fall from the sky and you got to collect them, and every time you get a gem, it will give you some points. So we'll do very similar to the aliens. We're just going to make a function that spawns gems, figure out a random place to put it, and we're just saying from block size, so it falls at least from within the screen across and from the side as well, so it doesn't get caught outside of the screen. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we just use the block size so it doesn't, so it's not just like right on the edge of the screen. We just want to make it come in a little bit, but otherwise it's a random position, and then we add that gem down from that random position somewhere across the screen, and then also just one block size down from the top, because at the top of the screen we've got like this just like a ceiling, so you can't fly past that. So we just need it to come down underneath that, so we use one block size down. And then so we spawn the gem, and then on our action event for the gem, so every frame we just call gem resolve, which is supposed to stop it from falling through solid things, but as we've seen, there's a bit of a bug in the library with that. And then I've just got some hacky code. If it does fall below ground, so greater than the map height, remember 0 is top left on the screens, so if it gets further than the game height, so down here somewhere, I just destroy it and regenerate it, because yeah, sometimes that bug happens. And then we just kick this off spawn gem to create the gem. So if we run this again, we should get them raining down from the sky. Oh, sorry, I just need to run that again. I'm just going to get rid of this explosion sound effect there. We need to add the gem as our sprite. So let's do that. What am I missing this time? Gem. We might not have all these variables in. Let me just check. Do you have that? Map height, block size, we've got all of that. Let's just try this again. Maybe we do run it again, yeah. Okay, yeah, there we go. Just need to run again. So now we've got gems falling down from the sky. So we're only going to get one until we kind of collect that one again. So now we just need to add a collision event between the gem and the spaceship, just so that we know to pick it up. So I'm just going to quickly add that on. Where's this page gone? Sorry, I seem to have lost my notes. Let me just get that up again in Chrome. Okay, but it's basically almost there. Just as soon as we got this in, then the game will be done. Okay, we've got the gems. So we're just going to use that overlaps again, just to check when the player and the gem overlap. If they do, we just get rid of the gem, and then we just got a constant for the number of points you get over there. We call our update score method, which I'll add now, and then we just wait 1 second and spawn a new gem to go collect. So this update score method is going to be very similar to the shield method, which basically just updates some UI on the page. So when you add those UI elements and then update them as we go along. So let's just get those quick. So we just add 2 components to the UI layer. One is just a text block. Well, both are a text block. And then we give it some kind of value, position, and then we give it a value over there, and then we just say center around the, make the center our kind of position of it, just so it's easier to place, and put it on our UI layer. And then we just need a function to actually update that when we get a score. So this is our update score function, which we call in our collision handler over here between a player and a gem. I'm just going to take out the sound here again because this gets a little bit crazy. And basically all we do is update the score on the player, and then update the score text, and just pad it with some zeros at the beginning, just so that you get that 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 or whatever, just so it looks kind of very old school game like. So let's try that again. So now, where is it? That doesn't seem to work. Let's just quickly see why. Run that again. This thing is struggling a little bit. There we go. So now we can pick them up, and our score changes at the top left over there. And then every time we pick up a gem, another one rains down. And if it falls through the floor, we got our little hack to make it fall again. So there we go. So you can kind of collect gems now. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much like a little tour of Kaboom and the things you can do with it. It's pretty cool just to like jam around in this environment, you know, when you're bored in that, because it's very low effort to get something new and running. So yeah, cool, that's it. We are done, finally. Sorry, it took longer than I thought. Any more questions besides you taking too long?
I had a question about shared globals.
Yeah.
Because I saw you when you created the separate scene for Endgame, you had to like redefine the width and height of the scene, basically.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you could share that kind of information?
Yeah, if you make it in a normal HTML and JS thing, then you can just obviously import those files into each scene. But you can also switch to this file view here in Replit. And I think you can probably just add it into this, maybe into the index.js here.
I see, okay.
Tag, and then it should be available to all your other scenes as well. So yeah, you can switch to that, and then you can see it kind of like assembles it there. So I think you can do it like that in Kaboom, in Replit. But if you're using it in your own editor, then obviously just include another JS file in both of them.
Awesome.
Cool.
Are there no more questions?
Okay, just a comment. I saw that people have made Zelda, Mario, and all sorts of things with Kaboom. Have you tried anything similar, Bradley?
Mario? No, I haven't built a Mario yet, but it will be coming up, I'm pretty sure. Something that I'll be building at some time. I think the next one I'm going to be building is maybe one with like a 3D kind of thing. So looking through a cockpit of a spaceship or a plane or something. So like kind of fake 3D with it, or maybe some kind of multiplayer thing that you can play over a network with someone else. But yeah, I haven't built a Mario yet. But there are a lot of Kaboom projects if you just kind of search. Yeah, there's people have built some crazy stuff.
MG has a question. He's asking if you've ever used Cocos or Godot, other JS game devs, he believes.
No, I haven't used anything else. This is literally like the first kind of playing around with game stuff for, yeah, since I was a kid in the 90s. So some other game engines now. I think this is like the kind of gateway drug.
Cool, awesome. Bradley, thank you so much. That was amazing stuff. Really impressive. You really made it look so easy and fun. Guys, remember that if you have a game company startup, Bradley's your man. So just get him in. So he obviously knows everything already. It'll save you a lot of time and effort. If you enjoyed Bradley's talk, you can be the next speaker. This is a very nice opportunity for someone to do their first tech talk. If you want, just contact us and then we will set that up and help you through that process. Other than that, M here or MG, whichever one you prefer, I guess it's M here. Please mail us. You've won a prize, probably like a packet of chips or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but you've definitely won a prize. And then I just want to say thank you to Intellect for letting us use and abuse their Zoom. It's always nice that they let that happen. And they are hiring, by the way. So Josh and Ezra, obviously, as you can see, they don't do a lot. Just sit around and attend meetups all the time. So if that's the kind of life you're into, Intellect is the place for you. So peeps, please be safe and join us next time for another fun talk. Bradley, once again, thank you. That was really cool.
Thanks very much for having me. It was good to be here.
It was awesome.
Cool. Cheers. Cheers.
MG, can you just either DM me or just drop us an email, the admin email that you got the invite from, and then we'll sort out your prize. Thanks. That's it. Thanks, Ezra.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks.